All right, this one is going to be an easy one. We're going to go over appraisals, and then on the second half of this video, I'm going to go over VA appraisals. If your buyer is a VA buyer and you're worried about it, watch the second half of this video. I haven't had an appraisal come in low since 2021, and I'm around 300 transactions right now in my career, and I don't think that it's happened to me more than 3 or 4 times. So I wouldn't worry about the appraisal. There is a portion of the appraisal that does include an inspection where if the house, especially if your house is like an investor house or a rental and it's in some level of disrepair, it might have 1 or 2 things that might come up, or they might ask a question, a clarifying question. So a couple of things that have come up over the years is if the tax records don't match the square footage of the house. Technically, they're supposed to measure your house. Most of the time they don't, but if they do, that's an issue. If they see any major disturbance of the earth, of the ground, or they see a construction project going on, they might have some questions and need clarifying on what that is and see if it's been permitted. But for the most part, they're going to come in, take a couple pictures, go back to their desk. Generally, the appraisal will come in at or around the list price, regardless of, what they think the house might really be worth if we had done this independently. So it might be different than your appraisal, but you don't get a copy of it. The only time you'll see it is if the appraisal comes in low, or if the appraiser has found something that they want fixed, what's called a lender required repair. So I had one recently on a VA where the front steps didn't have a handrail and we had to put a handrail in. This is outside of the home inspection. It's different, but don't worry about it. Now let's talk about VA inspection, VA appraisal. The appraiser is not tied into the lender the same as a local lender who has a set of 3 or 4 appraisers that they go through for all their appraisals, people that they work with regularly that they have a working relationship with. All VA appraisers get ordered from somewhere up in Maryland or DC, and they send somebody random. Because they don't work closely with the lender, they don't try to get them done quickly. They allow for, I think, 14 days. And sometimes they take all of 14 days. That's why we try to emphasize with the buyer, especially if they're VA, make sure you get this appraisal ordered early in case anything comes up. We have time to deal with it. People have a misconception about VA appraisals, and they talk about the VA inspection. It's the same thing. Every appraisal has a level of scrutiny to it. So as an example, the least scrutinized is conventional. You could have a number of things going on that won't come up. And then you have the next layers like FHA, USDA, and they have a minimum set of standards. So as an example, you can't have open drywall. Maybe you were in the middle of remodeling a bathroom and you didn't finish and you left the drywall open and there's plumbing behind the wall, or there's an electric wire hanging down that doesn't have a fixture associated with it. Or you ripped all the carpet out of a bedroom with the intention of leaving it that way and there's a bare floor. Those things can't pass an FHA inspection. We've already discussed this. This is not going to be a surprise and it's not going to happen, but I'm just trying to help you understand. And then the VA one is a little bit higher. A couple things that come up frequently on VA inspections is chipping wood on the outside of a house. So if you have a windowsill with chipping paint, they have an issue with chipping paint. It's a common occurrence. But the biggest one, and this is 90% of any issues that come up on VA, is handrails. They want handrails on steps coming off the deck. They want handrails on the front steps, depending on the rise and the angle or how many steps there are. They want steps. They want rails going down into the basement. We'll deal with it. Don't worry about it. But the thing I want to emphasize more than anything else is we live in Maryland. The building standards and the quality of houses and the living conditions and our standard of life here is so high, it doesn't come up. If you were buying houses in rural Kentucky or Tennessee for $85,000 and intended to live there, they have these minimum standards of things like it has to have a heat source. Doesn't have to have air conditioning, but it has to have a heat source. It has to have a cooking source. It has to have an oven or a stove. Of course your house has all that. It's not going to come up. People think that it's like this whole other inspection, the deal's going to fall apart. It's really not. I promise you, they might have an issue with some railings. They might find some chipping paint, and then they might find one other thing. But I'm going to say 9 out of 10, they don't bring up anything. And if they do, we've normally already kind of anticipated it. So don't worry about the appraisal. This one's kind of a non-issue, but I did want to go over these few things just so you had some context of what to expect. Don't worry about it. Thanks for watching.